But I also want to ask you, do you do you know the history of the Quran?
Yep, so absolutely. I know the history of the Quran.
Are you familiar with the Kitab al Masahif
Uh,
from Ibn Abi Dawud?
no, I'm not.
Okay. Ibn Abi Dawud in his Kitab al Masahif, he mentions that the um that majority of the Quran was lost, and that there was a revision under the third Caliph Uthman. Are you familiar with the Uthmanic revision of the Quran?
No, I'm not familiar. I've never even heard of that. I've never
Yeah.
heard of it. Yeah, they're close to that.
Okay. So yeah, whenever you get some time, check out Ibn Abi Dawud in this Kitab Ma Sahif, and basically, I was basically just going to go ahead and give you the give you the rundown. Now, let me see. There were. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can get the name. Uh, he basically made the he basically made the statement saying that if anyone says that they have the total of Quran, that if they have the total of the Quran, that they are basically lying, because no one basically has the total of the Quran. Now, this is, like back in the day. This is maybe about 40 or 50 years after Muhammad has died. And he said that the reason why they don't have it is because there was, I'm trying to remember, I think they are called the Musaylama. These were guys who remembered the Quran. Okay, basically, I'm gonna stop trying to
Yeah,
read
they've
this
memorized the
construct.
whole Quran. Yeah, I've
Right.
heard of
So yeah,
that.
so they memorized the whole Quran. So there was a battle that happened, a great battle that happened, and it was the Battle of Yamama. And and I know a lot of people when they hear that, they'd be like, "Wait, what is he talking about?" But yeah, it was called Yamama Yamama. So there's this great battle, and most of these guys, they died. So what happened was that this was brought to the attention of Uthman, who was the third caliph at the time, and they said, "Well, hey, Uthman, check this out. We got a problem. Majority of the guys who remember who had the Quran memorized from front to back, they all died in this battle, and we think that the Quran is going to be lost." So what he did was that he said, what Uthman instructed them to do was to go out and to bring back every version of the Quran that they can get their hands on, because what was happening was that there was a lot of conflict was starting to happen, because you had people who had versions of the Quran which contained more verses, some had shorter verses, some contained certain words, some did not. So Uthman said to just go ahead and put a rest to all of this, bring me everything that everyone got. So they brought back all of his they brought back everything that they could find, except for what was the guy? What was his name? He was one of Muhammad's right hand man. Um, I can't remember his name. Ibn Masud. Ibn Masud. So they wanted to get Ibn Masud's copy of the Quran, and he said no. He said, "I'm not going to give you guys the copy of my Quran, because this is what I've gotten strictly from the Prophet himself. Like, this is from the Prophet himself." So Ibn Masud did not want to give up his. He did not want to give up his copy of the Quran. So they took back whatever they could find to Uthman. Now Uthman took everything that he had, made one big version of the Quran, and he burned everything that had been given to him. So he burned all of the copies that he had, everything that had been given to him, whether it was in a fragment or complete, and he gave it to and he gave it back to the people and started dispersing that. But everything that he had copied from, he burnt that. He burned all of the evidence to that. Um, and even Ibn Masud said that that version of the Quran was satanic, and he said that that was like Zayd's version. So he said that that version is like corrupt, is satanic. He didn't want anything to do with it. So there's a lot of problems, even when it comes to the Quran. Even now, if you look up the Hafs and the Warsh versions of the Quran, like they do say some totally contrary things, and we're not talking about things such as textual variants that you may find in the Bible, because people may say that there's certain things in the Bible that contradict. There's nothing contradictory in the Bible,